I think people really want to have these conversations about law and all of these things you're talking about. And I think we assume people are too stupid to care. They're too worried about the cat video and the 2-minute soundbite. But I think people really want to engage. And one of my best buddies from MIT went to Tulane Law School. Yeah. And he used to sit me down and tell me these nuances of the law. Like, okay, but if this person does this, but the intent wasn't there. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's it. You really have to think about it. It's really complicated. And I think people appreciate that.
Yeah, look, I wrote the book, by the way. My dad wants everyone to know, even though it has a very serious-sounding legal title, it's really not about the law, and it's really not just for lawyers. I mean, some lawyers will find some of the things basic in it. It's about how to think. It's about how to, exercise discretion. It's about how to be a leader. It's about how to make difficult choices. The choices that I'm aware of, and that I could maybe impart some wisdom on, happen to have been law enforcement choices. Do you seek 20 years of punishment for someone who kidnapped a baby at 19 days of age from a hospital? Or do you allow a lesser sentence for that person? Do you prosecute somebody who's an armed New York City police officer who has gone on chat sites on the internet and fantasized about, but also took steps in connection with kidnapping, torturing, raping, killing, and then eating victims? Is that fantasy? Is it more than fantasy? Is it a thought crime? Is it not a thought crime? What are the ways you get information from people? Do you use harsh interrogation techniques? We talked about this a little bit. Or do you find ways to build rapport? There are a million issues and questions. What makes a good judge? How do you make sure a judge is fair? It may sound like it's only for people who practice in court, but I make the point that if you've ever engaged in competition, if you've ever engaged in sport, if you've ever been part of any sort of disciplinary issue at work or at school or at your home, you've been a judge or you've been judged. And how to deal with those circumstances, how to decide what the truth is, whether it's your kid stole a cookie from the jar, or the babysitter you wonder took $20 out of my wallet, or something more serious like did the person commit the homicide or not. Those are all things that people need to think about and make sure that they're equipped to handle, because they happen in everyday life all the time.